Hello and welcome to another very optional video. I'm Mitch, your host, and joining me is Russell and Jordan.
That is I.
Yeah, so we're here to talk about our personal picks for our favourite games of 2018. So to jump straight in, we're going to talk about each of our three picks, and start at number 3. I'm going to start with Russell, who has chosen an interesting game. So Russell.
Well, it's only interesting in the concept of it didn't technically come out in 2018. Or rather, it did, but not the original release. And this is Hollow Knight. So Hollow Knight is a game that it came out again multiple times this year with the Hollow Edition and the original version that came for the Switch, and include all the extra DLC and whatnot. But this game just happens to be probably one of the best Castlevania, Metroidvania, whatever you want to call it, type games I've played. To me, it's like a combination of excellent, like, subtle storytelling, basically like what Dark Souls and From Software type does. But for me, those games never really grabbed my attention in that way. To me, it was just a combat boss game. Like, I'd never really been interested in the story in either or that series, where this game completely drew me in, to the point of, like, I'm looking at, like, fan theories on, like, Reddit and watching YouTubers, like, describe, like, the lore and stuff. Like, it's a game that, like, completely drew me in and wanted me to, like, find out about it. And on top of it, it's such an incredibly tight combat experience that just always feels interesting and engaging and, like, fluid, with incredible challenges as well. Like, some of the bosses in this game are extremely difficult, especially with some of the ones they've added, like the additional DLCs and whatnot. Yeah. And it's just one that I just feel like I played it twice this year, like back to back. And to me, that only happens with games I love. And it's something truly special, and one that everyone really needs to experience it. And I feel like it's one of those unfortunate indie ones where I feel like it's been overshadowed quite a lot. But I highly recommend it.
Yeah, well, that's a great looking game. So, Jordan. We got your pick for number 3.
Oh, which... we're going to my number 3 next up. Okay.
We are. Yes. So, Jordan, take it away. What is your top 3 games of this year? What is your first one, at least? Your third one?
Well, so when it comes... Well, firstly, I should probably mention, when it comes to games this year, a lot of the big hitters, like Red Dead, God of War, Celeste, all those, like, sort of ones, I haven't played this year. So my top 3, like, what the hell are you smoking when I say that Fallout 76 is my number 1? My number 3. Third one.
I confused you. It's fine. Keep going.
Why Fallout 76? Well, even though it's had so much backlash through pretty much everything,
some could say justified.
Some is, some isn't. It has a lot of aspects to it that is quite enjoyable. I've been pretty much playing it each day, every day for the past week. Played it for at least over 76 hours now. I know that because it gave me a challenge saying I'd played it for that long. So it's not like I have only played it for a few hours and then made my decision to be like, this game is crap or this game is good. I've given it a chance. I'm giving it a go. It seems to be working. The biggest thing for me when it comes to games is the idea of exploration. And with Fallout's map, it is massive. I've played it for that, like, 80 odd hours now, and I've only done about half the map so far. It's that big. And although it doesn't have human NPCs, the amount of creatures and unique creatures that there is in the game highly, like, tops, having
makes up
human
for
NPCs.
It
would be cool to have them. Makes up for it, yes. Like, the amount of different encounters that you have and how you encounter them have been quite enjoyable to me, or quite terrifying. Like, I don't know if you ever heard of what a Wendigo is. It's like a cannibal person who lives up in the something like that. My first encounter with one of them was absolutely terrifying. It came out of nowhere while I was in first person and tried to rip me to shreds. Other creatures, like a giant scorch beast, is like a dragon, but better and tougher and all that sort of thing. It's just all round. The game's been a lot more fun than people expect.
So, John, what about the presentation or, like, the storytelling? Because these are the biggest things I've heard that people don't like about it. Like,
quests would be better with actual NPCs, but for what it is, it's still enjoyable. If you listen to certain holotapes, you're fine. You get your story. You can skip all the text on computers if you want, and you'll still know what you want to do. Most of the aspect of it, though, is the journey, not the destination. That might turn people off straight away, but some people it will hook.
Yeah, I think mostly, like, there's a personal list. Like, there are people like Jordan who actually like Fallout 76. Prepare to get lots of hate for it because that bandwagon is very popular right now. Yeah, interesting choice, Jordan. My choice for my number 3 is a game I loved. I played it at the start for about half an hour, didn't touch it for months, which is weird because it was the Messenger and we did a lookout on that. And I was so positive about every aspect of that and I just didn't play it. But when I finally went back and actually played the damn thing, like, my first half an hour, it was true for the whole game. I enjoyed the whole game from what it was from the beginning because it starts as an 8-bit, almost Ninja Gaiden-esque game and then becomes this 16-bit version and then becomes a Metroidvania. So it really, I like all of those things and all combined in this awesome game. It's cool. But then what it does is it lets you switch between 8-bit and 16-bit during platforming, which is something we actually hadn't seen before and really worked well to like the Messenger's speed and how all the gadgets and stuff all work together. I think it really made it a fast-paced game with really good platforming. Really, the Metroidvania was interesting. How you traveled through these areas you had been before, but with a new aspect of switching between different modes, which really gave it a more, I don't know, it made it feel new, even though it wasn't quite a new area. And I think cool boss fights. Boss fights were cool. I really enjoyed them. I wouldn't say they're too difficult for most of them. There are a few examples of a couple hard ones, but for the most part, you know, they're not hard. And I think you get to be a ninja, and that's a cool thing. Ninjas are cool. You know, a time-traveling ninja who may or may not ride a dragon. So, yeah, there's a lot of good things there in this game. And the upgrade system's fun. All the zones are cool. But yeah, it's easy pick for my list because I just loved the Messenger from the moment I started playing to the moment I finished it. I was just like, I was into it the whole way. So yeah, so that's my pick for number 3. Jordan, we'll go back straight to you because your number 2
Straight
is
back to me.
straight back to you. Yep, your number 2 is a game about a little dragon, which you just said is not as cool as something in Fallout 76. Do you stand by Spyro not being as cool as the 76 dragon?
Spyro the Dragon, the Reignited trilogy, he's a different type of dragon to what you'd find in a Bethesda game. He's more, you know, purple and yellow.
And
but anyway, basically, Spyro the Reignited trilogy comes second for me because if you love the old games, these games have everything that was there, but better. Better graphics, better cutscenes, better gameplay, even though you could say it's the same, but it's still been tweaked, it's still been good. It's all that, everything's there. It's just better Spyro. Your, you know, childhood memories won't be just tarnished by it, they'll be cherished, and you'll remember all the things that happened in the past.
May get a bit motion sick though.
Yes, you may get a little bit motion sick at first, but you get used to it after a while.
To be honest, I never got used to it. It still makes me sick. But yeah.
Well, yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, like we all played Spyro here. We all really liked it because it just gave you Spyro, but better looking. It didn't really change too many things and just kept it the way you really wanted it to be, I guess.
And he's back to his normal design instead of your Skylanders design.
That abomination. Don't mention it. That absolute abomination. So, yeah. Moving on, Russell, your number 2 is... Well, it's not going to surprise a lot of people, to be honest.
Well, yeah, my number 2 is Red Dead Redemption 2. And it's one of those ones where I feel like for the most people, this is probably like where it's going to be the decisive decision between this and another game that may or may not be coming up later.
May or may not.
And Red Dead Redemption 2 it's one of those games that is immediately polarizing. Absolutely. Like as soon as you start playing it, I think you immediately make a decision whether it's for you or not. Because it is slow. It's very slow and it's deliberately slow. But that slow is paid off with dividends for how much effort you put into it and just the overall experience and world it crafts behind that. Where Fallout 76, it basically gives you all these hurdles to have to jump over to actually enjoy it. I feel like Red Dead Redemption just creates a world of harshness and like realism and kind of like really going to like nitty gritty mechanics to try to like weed out whether you're willing to put the time in. And then the story that's how it's structured. Like it takes a long time for it to pick up, a very long time. And it's deliberate because the payoff is so much better because of it. It's very much one of those, like, you go through like the hardships to get to like the amazing piece at the end. And how this game concludes, some of the aspects like post game, the side missions, the world, the characters, all of them are the best Rockstar's done, in my opinion. And some of the best I've ever experienced. Like Arthur Morgan, to me, I hated his character at the start. Absolutely hated it. I thought he was the most generic character ever created. He's like, oh, he's just like literally like a white, like serious dude in this Wild West. And I was so bored by just like how derivative he seemed to be. And then that plays off and changes, and his character is molded by what happens throughout the story. And by the end, I was emotionally upset about stuff that happens, and just like how strong a reaction it crafted throughout it. And I feel like it's possibly the most impressed I've ever been by an arc of a character in a game. From such actively, like, this is the most generic character ever, to be like thinking it's one of the best realized character ever made. And there's other characters too, like Dutch Vanderleen, so well performed, so well crafted and written as a character, and to his downfall to what he becomes in Red Dead Redemption 1, because this is actually a prequel to that game. And I love it. And it's just how that all comes together, to me, makes me overlook some of the aspects that I do think are bad, such as its gameplay. I think is pretty derivative and of stuff that they've done before and overly complicated. And some other mechanics. Like, the gameplay wasn't the bit I enjoyed the most about this game. It really was the world they created. The visuals are unbelievable. How the sound design comes into each battle, each confrontation, each story arc, and then the stories and the writing. Like, it's just so good. And that's really why, to me, it's number 2. And couldn't take my number 1 over a certain other game.
No, but talk about my number 2. It's funny. It's a game that's very story heavy. No, it's not story heavy. It's Super Smash Brothers. It was always going to be here. My love for the Smash series has always been. It's one of my favorite franchises in existence, and I think they finally did the goal that I think they always wanted it to be: the ultimate crossover. I think they've always been close. I think there's always been that they were so close to it, but they're finally there now. With the amount of characters, the World of Light, with all these different spirits from across the gaming landscape, like indie characters appearing as assist trophies like Shovel Knight. I think they've now finally achieved that goal of the ultimate crossover, which is awesome and really sells like why I've always loved Smash. It has always been that, just mashing all these characters into one room, making Cloud fight Link, like, that was something we never thought would happen, and that happened with the Wii U version, which I do think up until this point was my favorite, but I think Smash Brothers for Switch Ultimate really just took it another level forward with just how much they've thrown into this game, how many options you have with how to set up, like, even the multiplayer, which has obviously been its main mode forever, and just like you can make levels switch between levels mid-fight. They can all be tournament levels where you can just have the traditional, like, more competitive style battles, which was introduced in Wii U, but I think now with the amount of levels and stuff and characters, it's really coming across as what I always wanted it to be. And I just want to talk, like, World of Light is probably its biggest, most replayable, most frustrating, aggravating part of the game at points. But I think for the most part, it's pretty good at giving you more reasons to play the game single player that the Wii U version certainly lacked with its Mario Party-esque weird bullshit thing that they made up for it. But for the most part, I think World of Light is better. I think it's probably the best single player mode they've had, regardless of how long it stays around for, which happens to be far too long. You think it's over, but it's not. And that happens more than once. But I do think it's cool, like, going into these little dungeons they have. There's like a Street Fighter one, where it's just like what you expect from Street Fighter. You get the map. There's a Donkey Kong one, which is the standout for me, which is just flat out the start of Donkey Kong Country, which is a game that I liked as a kid too. So there's so much in this game, and that's not even talking about all the other modes and all the characters. I think I love most of the new characters. Ridley's fun. Simon and Richter Belmont are really some of my favorite characters in Smash. King K. Rool is just I just love how ridiculous he is. Just how he lumbers around the map being this giant crocodile. Not knowing. But yeah, I think this is my favorite Smash Bros. Game. And there's just so much to it and so much I love in it. And that's definitely why it sits at my number 2. Because there's just one game that's ahead of it. But before we get to that, I want to talk about... Well, not I want to talk about. Jordan wants to talk about his number 1 for the year, which... Again, if you've seen his picks, one of them kind of makes sense. This is pretty out there too, so...
I'd say both of them are up there, but this one definitely takes the cake, or at least makes the cake. It's Overcooked 2. The co-op game that makes, friends hate each other or work together as a team to overcome...
Mostly hate.
And serve people food. Basically, Overcooked 1, its downfall was it was only local co-op, so unless you had friends in that same room, then you basically playing by yourself. But Overcooked 2, being online, you can play it with anyone, even from the other side of the world. So going through it was a lot more enjoyable, especially playing it with, one other person that we raged and played and enjoyed the whole game all the way through. Still playing through some of the DLC, cooking up barbecues and stuff on the beaches, but it's got everything that's there to make you want to keep playing to get those 3 stars on each level, cook all those recipes, and just have a blast. Just sit back, sort of work together, mentally wise, but at the same time you can just lay back and play the game too.
Yeah, I don't think this game is a real laid back game, because I know when Russell and I and a few other friends were playing it, there was a lot of yelling and a lot of put the thing here. Okay, you're over here. You're playing with the extinguisher. Great. I think, Overcooked 1 was... I've only played Overcooked 1, but I think 2 looks like they've taken what 1 did, but took it up another notch, which I thought they already went too far with, 2 cars moving on either side. And it's just you have to somehow do that. And then they just went even further with it with the sequel, which...
Oh, there was some levels that require so much cooperation. You have to be on point. There's some that... there's this thing that you're on and you got to move it to each corner. You can only cook and all that at one moment and to get it all finished in time is But other times, if you're been playing it for heaps of time, you can just what you got to do without really having to say.
Interesting pick. It also won a lovely award.
Yes, the best award.
So it's a cool game to have on your list. And so there's a game that we've spoken a lot about this year, and there's no reason it wouldn't be number 1, because that's God of War, a game that took a series known for a grumpy old man, well, not old, but a grumpy guy who just hates everyone and kills everyone, into a character that you care for. You really want to see his relationship with his son Atreus, because God of War is just they took what already was a cool idea of mythology and just fighting all the gods, and then just taking a direction that's different for Kratos, but it's still God of War. It's still that Kratos, and it's also me and Russell's game at top number 1. So that's why it's merged. We could talk about it twice separately, but so yeah, Russell, God of War.
As you said, it's a game that tries to be evolve the series into something new and succeeds, where a lot of other games don't always do that when they try to change their experience. And I don't think God of War just succeeded. I think it excelled its original games and also made them better in a way where it's I think what Kratos has done in the past assists him in this game. And the reason why it's so impactful, his relationship with his son and not doing the sins of the father, repeating the cycle, it becomes a big part of this game's kind of mythology and mythology in general, in real mythology, and how it increases this game's universe, literally increases its universe to the point of God of War now is a series that could go anywhere. There is so much potential that they create in this game. This game almost feels like the prequel to an entire universe of other games that can exist now.
Yeah, because if you have played this game, you notice they don't deal with a lot of major players directly.
Yeah, but still managed to make an excellent and exciting game. Even when you look at it as a whole and go, man, they actually avoid so many of the biggest things are part of the the Norse mythology that is at the core of this game. But it's how it opens it up into other ways as well. But even like as impressive as all those aspects are, it's the gameplay
Definitely.
as well that also comes together. Where it's like, to me, this is why this game is better than Red Dead Redemption, is because it exceeds on the story
At all
front
levels.
and the characters and the visuals, but it also absolutely annihilates in the gameplay mechanic. I don't know if it's better than the hack and slash combat was, because I really did enjoy that, but it creates something brand new with the Leviathan axe, like a weapon that you can throw it and call it back. And a mechanic that I wouldn't be surprised if is mimicked by people in the future because of how awesome that feels.
fun it was.
Like, yeah, how every time you use that weapon, it just feels really good. And it's that combination of that close quarter combat camera and like really like feeling every impact of the blow of your weapons and like facing things so close. And really that one-cut camera, I really think might be the most impressive thing out of everything, to the point of it's actually affected how I look at other games when I play them now. Like I play them, I go, oh, there's a cut.
Yeah, it's jarring versus like how God of War just continues on.
Yeah, it's just God of War to me is like, so like I want every game to be that now. Like that is how good it was. I know like a lot of people, Breath of the Wild had that feeling. It was like open world, you should be able to climb everything. And I feel like God of War has done that to me for like cinematography in games. Like, man, I wish they never cut. I just want them to just keep going, because that personal feeling it gives you as you play it, I think really adds to kind of the experience and just like keeps it going constantly.
Yeah, like
I hope Naughty Dog, does that in like the next Last of Us, like something like that. Like it just never cuts. It's relentless.
It's something video games can do that movies can't do. Like you can continue the whole thing. Movies have done it, but I think games can actually do it a bit better, and how it keeps you more tied to the game rather than cinematics have always taken you a bit out of it. But I never felt that in God of War. God of War, it just felt like it was just part of the adventure, which the adventure was the simple premise, but I think throughout the world, the environments and the places you go and travel through, I think make it a really, like, you're there for the journey's the best bit. Like the end's rewarding and all that stuff, but I think for the most part it's just this incredible journey you take that you grow as Kratos grows as a character, his son, like, they learn a lot about this world, and you just get to go around throwing the Leviathan axe at things, which I think is one of my favourite weapons in the game, because when they first showed it off, you can throw your axe and call it back. All we all wanted to do was just get that axe and start throwing it at things. Like, if I throw it off here, will it come back? Yep. Do I throw it off the edge of the world? Comes back. It's just like, just having this weapon that's flings back to you. It's cool. Like, you almost felt a bit like Thor, which I think was the vibe they were going for.
Norse mythology.
Well, there is a Thor of Norse mythology.
And Atreus is like not only a super compelling character, like to Abel, I can imagine almost anyone who looked at God of War before it came out and thinking, oh, really? You've got a son you got to follow around with? That's going to be a pain. And I literally think it's the best implementation of like an extra character ever. Not only is he really well fit into the story and got Kratos as a father, and how well that is all comes together.
But he's useful.
But mechanically, he's also incredibly useful. Like he's not a problem at any point. Like Last of Us, like the biggest distraction to me is always your side characters, where they're like walking in front of clickers. And
What's Ellie doing?
And it just breaks the universe. Where like Atreus is quite literally a button. Like you use him as a mechanical function in the game, and that makes it so it's a double whammy. Where it's like you feel it, and how his motivations and kind of like character changes throughout the game. You also feel it in the mechanics, and that to me is always like how game can work so well together, where the gameplay influences the story and the feelings all at the same time, and just that alone is such a massive accomplishment. It's just really just so excellent, just how it all works. Like I almost have no negatives with this game, almost.
He gave it a 10 in his review, so.
Yeah, I think the only step down is like when it's connected to the series, where it's like the past God of War games have a lot of crazy stuff in them. Like more crazy than this game goes in terms of like scale and massiveness and all that kind of stuff.
I think it's a bit more grounded.
But I do feel like they do that, so the next set of games are way more exciting. I feel like that's why they've done it, where it's like, there are so many things that we want to do, but we have to save it because we want people to be incredibly excited for the sequel. And honestly, like this game was already like one of the best selling until Spider-Man came out. But I expect the next one to do even better. Like it's a lot of people are like going to be anticipating it extremely highly, and I think God of War was already one of their best selling franchises, and now it seems like it's on a whole new level.
It's back.
Like on the same level as Last of Us and stuff. It's that good.
It is up to that standard. Like Cory Barlog and the team at Santa Monica have done a very good job at making God of War as good as it is. It's the one game where there's a character you want to hear talking about the lore of the world, and that keeps you from playing the game, which I've never had happen before. It's just like there's so much good with like the Norse mythology gives them so much room to like really create some epic and really cool areas. And like the story, great. Kratos, like people who hated Kratos are now like, I really like this guy. He's still the same guy who destroyed the Greek Pantheon and killed a lot of people, but the journey he's had through this game has really like shifted his character forward a lot, probably more than the other God of War's pushed his character because his narrative. Definitely. Yeah. And so I think the sequel, can't wait for it, and there's a reason it's number one on a lot of lists because it's one of the best games of 2018 and arguably one of the best games ever made that realized the Norse world in the way that God of War does. So.
And it's still a game I need to play.
You do need to play it. Well, you've missed the 2018 window for God of War, but there's always this year, so maybe get onto that. So that is basically our games, our 3 favorites, which mine was The Messenger, Smash, and God of War. Russell's was Hollow Knight, Red Dead Redemption 2 and God of War, and Jordan's was Fallout 76, Spyro, and Overcooked. So so thanks guys for sharing your favorite games of the year. Thanks for joining me as always and all that.
I feel like we brought a lot of diversity. I think there were some more obvious ones, God of War, Red Dead Redemption, but I think some of the other ones were
Jordan brought in some lovely diversity that I think...
Some underrated games.
He brought in some underrated games. Some games that maybe deserve all the hate, but anyway, what are your top 3 games of the year or last year? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you again. Goodbye.
Country road.